Hello and welcome back to the channel. Throughout history, there have been rare individuals who possessed intellect so vast they single-handedly pushed humanity forward. They are the masters of science, the virtuosos of art, and the architects of our modern world. But who were they really? Behind the legendary names and the massive achievements, they were often eccentric, troubled, and deeply fascinating human beings. From the man who deciphered gravity to the artist who hid codes in his paintings. Today, we are going to take a journey through the minds of the greatest geniuses of all time. Let's find out who they are and what made them so extraordinary. Geniuses are outstanding individuals in one or several fields, be it physics, chemistry, music, painting, or even gaming. While there are many self-proclaimed geniuses who just talk the talk, history has given us true giants. Today, we will summarize the most formidable geniuses the world has ever known. Disclaimer: this information is gathered from the internet, so if there are any errors, please feel free to correct us in the comments. Let's start with Albert Einstein. He is arguably one of the most important figures who laid the foundation for modern physics, completely changing humanity's understanding of the universe. He is famous for the theory of special relativity and general relativity. Born in Germany with Jewish heritage, Einstein faced significant challenges. It is said that as a child, he showed signs of delayed development and didn't start speaking until he was 3 years old. Instead of physical prowess, he chose to hardcore train his brain. Like many geniuses, his school days were difficult. He was curious about everything and often ridiculed for asking obvious questions. Realizing his school environment was too limiting, he dropped out at age 15, reportedly faking a nervous breakdown to leave. He later moved to Italy. At 16, he failed the entrance exam for a university in Switzerland. Yes, failed. The irony is that he scored maximum points in math and physics but failed the other subjects. He passed on his second try. Einstein became globally famous for his equation E equals mc squared. However, his work faced resistance because it contradicted some established theories of the classical physics icon Issacnewton. Because he was Jewish, Einstein was targeted by Adolf Hitler. Seeing the danger, he fled to the United States and settled there, a massive gain for America. Understanding the brutality of Nazi Germany, Einstein wrote a letter to the US government suggesting they act first. This led to the Manhattan Project and the birth of nuclear weapons. While it's debated whether he directly built the bomb, one thing is certain. In 1945, the US tested this new weapon on Japan, and we all know the consequences. Issacnewton is one of the greatest mathematicians and most influential scientists of all time. He is best known for the law of universal gravitation, the 3 laws of motion that torture high school students to this day. The story of his discovery is legendary. Sitting under an apple tree, an apple fell on his head, leading him to ask why it fell down instead of up. Though we still wonder why it wasn't a durian tree. Newton is the father of classical mechanics. But his achievements go further. He created the first reflective telescope, discovered the color spectrum, and calculated the speed of sound. He reportedly had an IQ of nearly 200. However, Newton was not a genius at investing. He once invested in the South Sea Company and lost about £20,000, equivalent to around £4.4 million today. He was essentially scammed due to poor corporate management. A fun fact about Newton: he remained a virgin until the end of his life. He never married or had any special relationships with women, dedicating his entire life to science. Respect. Leonardo da Vinci, the ultimate Renaissance man, is considered the most versatile genius of all time. He mastered everything: painter, sculptor, architect, musician, mathematician, engineer, inventor, anatomist, and more. He is best known as a painter with masterpieces like The Last Supper and The Vitruvian Man, and of course, the Mona Lisa, the most famous and most memed painting in history. To paint with such realism, Leonardo dissected thousands of corpses to understand the human body. Sadly, he couldn't finish some of his later works because his right hand became paralyzed in his old age. Da Vinci was self-taught. Legend has it that when he was an apprentice, he painted an angel so perfectly that his teacher, Verrocchio, realized he had been surpassed and vowed never to paint again. +1 genius, -1 teacher. There was also a major controversy where Da Vinci was accused of sodomy involving a young male model, though the charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. Leonardo was ambidextrous and loved mirror writing, writing backwards so it could only be read in a mirror. He also followed a bizarre sleep schedule, the Uberman cycle. He would sleep 15 minutes every 4 hours, totaling only 60 minutes of sleep a day. Beyond art, he sketched concepts for technologies centuries ahead of his time: bicycles, helicopters, submarines, and telephones. He was simply overpowered. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the greatest composer and the most exploited child prodigy in history. His father, a music teacher, realized his son's talent early. At 3, Mozart had perfect pitch. At 4, he could compose. His childhood was a grueling tour. By age 6, he performed in Vienna. At 7, in Paris, then London. He traveled across Europe, performing before he was even a teenager. It is said that by 14, he could compose entire symphonies in his head and write them down without a single correction. However, his adult life was tragic. He worked for low pay for a local archbishop, restricted creatively. Eventually, he quit to follow his passion. His talent peaked at the end of his life, but he died young and poor. Fun fact, Beethoven was once Mozart's student. Now, let's talk about a woman. Marie Curie, the greatest female scientist of the 20th century. She is the only woman to win 2 Nobel Prizes and a pioneer in radioactivity. She was a top student but had a rocky love life before marrying physicist Pierre Curie. Her greatest success was discovering radioactivity and elements like polonium and radium. At the time, the dangers of radiation were unknown. Years of exposure slowly destroyed her health. While her work saved millions through cancer treatment, it cost her everything. Her daughter also suffered from radiation, and Marie herself died from aplastic anemia caused by her research. A true martyr for science. Galileo Galilei, the father of modern observational astronomy, modern physics, and modern science itself. He proved that the speed of a falling object depends on air resistance, not weight. Before him, everyone thought heavier objects fell faster. If you drop a cat, and a heavy cat, actually use 2 rocks instead, both will hit the ground at the same time. In the past, the church taught geocentrism, that the Earth was the center of the universe. Galileo challenged this. Using his telescope, he supported heliocentrism. The Earth and planets revolve around the Sunday. Back then, this was considered madness, heresy. The Inquisition forced him to recant his theories under threat of torture. But truth is truth. Legend has it, as he left the trial, he muttered, "And yet it moves. Eper si mover." Charles Darwin, the father of the theory of evolution. He proved that all species evolve over time from common ancestors through natural selection. Surprisingly, Darwin was quite a spender in his college days, buying expensive shoes and clothes. Despite slacking off, he still graduated near the top of his class. Darwin was hesitant about marriage. He literally made a list of pros and cons of getting married. He eventually did marry and had 10 children. However, tragedy struck. His children were sickly, and many died young. Historians now believe this was due to the long history of inbreeding in his family, marrying cousins to keep wealth within the family. Another fact, he never originally called it the theory of evolution. The original title was extremely long, On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. Theory of evolution was just catchier. William Shakespeare, England's greatest playwright. He was the master of drama, murder, betrayal, passion, and jealousy. Romeo and Juliet is his most famous work. His theatre troupe once got into trouble with Queen Elizabeth I for performing a play about royalty without permission, getting them banned for a while. Shakespeare was incredibly wealthy from his writing and acting. By 33, he bought a castle-like house and owned significant real estate. Later in life, he faced criticism. Theatres mocked his style by turning his plays into musicals or pantomimes, perhaps simply because he was too successful. Louis Pasteur, the father of vaccines and savior of humanity. Unlike other geniuses, he was an average student. In his time, doctors didn't know about germs. They didn't even wash their hands before surgery. Pasteur discovered the existence of microbes and germs. His promotion of sterilization drastically reduced post-surgery mortality. His greatest success was the rabies vaccine. He also created vaccines for chicken, cholera, and anthrax. A true giant in medicine. Finally, Nikola Tesla. The great inventor of the 20th century, the man who allegedly knew the secrets of the universe. Tesla held over 300 patents, most notably for alternating current AC, the electricity we use today. He was so ahead of his time that people called him a mad scientist. He worked with Thomas Edison, who invented direct current, DC. Their ideas clashed, leading to the War of Currents. Edison tried to scare people about AC's dangers, but Tesla proved him wrong by lighting 90,000 bulbs at once. He invented radio-controlled boats, which people at the time thought was magic or a trick. Tesla suffered from severe OCD. He couldn't stand uneven surfaces or messy dining tables. He was obsessed with the numbers 3, 6, and 9. He would walk around a building 3 times before entering, use 18 napkins, and lived in hotel room 3327, which is divisible by 3. He died 3 days before his birthday. Whether the 369 theory is real or just internet hype or Tesla marketing, his genius is undeniable. There are still many other geniuses like Edison, Van Gogh, Beethoven, Pythagoras, Archimedes, and that is just the West. We haven't even touched on the brilliant minds of the East yet. So, please like and subscribe for part 2 and part 3.